Hi, welcome back to Serger Tip Clips. I'm so excited to show you this stitch today because it's one of my very favorite decorative serger stitches. It's the Flatlock Wave Stitch. And when we go to the machine, I'm going to walk you through the threading of it also because it's a little bit funky. And I know myself, it took me 2 or 3 tries to get the threading correct. So we'll do that. But I have a couple of examples of lines, or I should say one example. And you can see I've got 2 12-weight threads in the loopers, which I think is really pretty. But there are a zillion different pretty decorative threads on the market, so you can test them out for your uses. But you can see how pretty that Flatlock Wave Stitch is. And I did a tip clip quite a while ago on the regular wave stitch that is an edge treatment, but this one is a flat lock so that you can do it anywhere on the surface of your fabric. And on the back side of it, you can see it forms that reverse flat lock or ladder stitch. And I don't know how well the camera can pick up the thread because I tried to match the base fabric, but you just see the little ladders of the thread on the back side. So when we go to the machine, we're going to fold our fabric wrong sides together to have the flat lock come out on the right side. And I'm going to show you how to make the colors wave in the 2 different directions. You can see the turquoise goes down here and on the top one, and the yellow goes down on the center one. And that's really easy to do. So be sure to subscribe to my channel. It's free. I don't want you to miss a stitch. And as always, if you have a suggestion or a question for a future tip clip, be sure to send them in to me. I use the Flatlock Wave Stitch on the center panel of my tote bag. And you'll notice that I have the colors waving in opposite directions on every different line. So, and these originally were all single lines that I chopped up, and I actually call this a broken wave stitch. I'm going to walk you through each step of the threading because, as I said, it's a little bit funky for this stitch. So we're going to start with the easiest one first, which is your lower looper thread. And I've got my decorative thread for the upper and lower looper and serger cone thread for my needle. But you might have noticed that the upper looper and needle threads are in different positions, and I'll talk to you about why. But let's start with the lower looper. That is going to thread in exactly the same as it normally does. It's going to go through the threading channel for that. I'm going to lock in my threading tubes and pull a length of thread. And that's going to go through. Everything about the lower looper is the same as usual. Let me just pull a little extra. There we go. Okay, here it is. So that's the easiest one. Now, the upper looper thread I have on the left needle threading position because it's going to go through the needle tension channel instead of the upper looper tension channel. And this is the thing that can trip people up a little bit. But again, once you see it in action, no problem. So I'm going to bring it through here. It's through there. Now I'm going to thread it through the upper looper the way I normally do. But again, it's through the right needle tension channel. So I'm putting that in, threading that in. And now I have my 01 or my leftover lock needle in, and that thread, which is my serger cone thread, is going through the upper looper threading channel for tension. So I'm clicking that down, and now once I'm through there, I'm going to just bring it through and thread it into my needles the way I usually do. So I'll get my needle all threaded up, and then I will give you the rest of the setting. I'm just going to put my presser foot down just to get it out of the way. Bring it back. I'm going to, oops, I forgot to flip this over from my chain looper. There we go. Okay. And you know, if your thread doesn't go through the first try with the threader, give it a quick haircut. If there's a little bit of fuzz on the end of the thread, just like when you're threading any needle, sometimes it's reluctant to go through the eye. My stitch selector is on D, so that's going to tighten up my lower looper tension. I've moved my lever here from my regular overlock position up to the wave position, and I have my stitch width dial on M, and this setting, your stitch length is variable depending on the thickness of your threads and the way you want the stitch to look and your fabric. So I put mine on about 1.5 for two 12-weight threads in the loopers. So you can play with that a little bit, and I have my differential feed on N because I'm doing this on a quilting weight cotton that's stable. I don't need to change or fiddle around with the differential feed. I have my lace applicator foot on, and you can refer back to the other one, the other tip clip about why I like this. And I've got my guide set just to the left of that right needle indicator ridge, and I have my left overlock needle in. So I'm going to just chain off, make sure I've got my stitch the way I want it to look. Just a double, and you'll actually, even when you chain off, you'll see the wave forming. It's just such a beautiful stitch. I love it. And I think you can see the waves starting, the yellow and the turquoise. So I've got my lines drawn with chalk on my fabric. So let me do this. And then I'm going to give you that cool little tip about making the colors wave in different directions. I like to put the foot up and bring my fabric right up to the needle so that those feed dogs pick it up and bring it down. I don't have to disengage my knife because I have this little guide that acts as a protector for the fold of the fabric. So I'm going to bring this along. Okay, I've got that. Now, here's the magic. I can just, let me clip this off just to get it out of the way. Okay, and now I can pull it flat just like you do with a regular flat lock. I love this. And if you notice, the colors are waving in the opposite direction of the first one that I showed you. On this one, the turquoise thread, let me just pull it up here, is waving to the right. On this one, it's waving to the left. So the way you do that is whichever end you started with for stitching, you'll flip your fabric around. And if you're not sure what direction they're going in, just chain off a little bit more, and that will tell you which direction the fabric is going in. So I'll do one more, and I flip my fabric around. I'm going to raise the presser foot. Get it in. And I hope you love this as much as I do. I just think it's such a pretty stitch. So you can see, again, this one is going to the right, left, right, and it's flipped around so that you can change that up in any, or if you want them all to go in the same direction, just always start on the same end of the fabric. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you try out the Flatlock Wave Stitch on an upcoming project because it's just so much fun to work with. And I'll see you again soon.